Crew eat better than passengers, and it's not because we sneak into the kitchen. I worked cruise ships for 14 years, watching the same free food get ignored sailing after sailing, while passengers paid full price for something worse 2 decks away. These aren't the tips you've read 100 times. These are hacks staff actually use. 12 of them, ranked from good to the one that changes your whole week. Number 12. The kids' menu as a secret adult layer. Most adults glance at the kids' menu, see chicken tenders and mac and cheese, and dismiss the whole page as a downgrade meant for someone else's table. What they don't realize is that the kitchen is pulling from the exact same ingredients as the adult menu, just simplified and portioned smaller for smaller appetites. That means a waiter can scale it up, add real seasoning, throw in a sauce from the dinner menu, and turn it into something you'd actually order on purpose if it had its own name. This goes double for late-night custom pizza. Most passengers assume it's the same heat lamp slice sitting under glass all night, when many ships will actually make it fresh to order if you simply ask instead of grabbing what's already out. I watched adults do this constantly without even realizing what they were doing, just quietly upgrading a kid's dish into their actual dinner while their table thought it was a joke. Say this to your waiter, "Could I get an adult portion of the kids' grilled cheese with toppings from the dinner menu added on the side?" It's not cheating the system. It's an entire extra menu hiding inside the one you already had in your hands the whole time, printed in smaller font and completely ignored by 90% of the dining room. Here's a hack that turns dessert into a competition with the cafe you're avoiding. Number 11. The BY Pass Mocha and the DIY Sundae. Specialty coffee counters charge $4 to $6 for a mocha that is, chemically speaking, just coffee and melted chocolate mixed together in a cup. The buffet has free coffee sitting right there in urns all day, refilled constantly by staff who won't even glance at you twice. The dessert station has free hot chocolate sauce sitting 3 feet away from it, usually next to the waffle bar. Combine the two, and you've built the same drink the cafe sells, without your onboard account ever noticing a single charge. The same logic works with ice cream. Free vanilla or chocolate soft serve, plus toppings pulled straight from the sundae bar, sprinkles, crushed cookies, caramel. Build something better than the $5 branded scoop sold right next to it under a fancier name and a nicer cup. I did this on my own breaks constantly, and most passengers walk past both stations every single day without ever connecting the dots between what's free and what's marked up right next to it. This next one is for anyone who assumes the good stuff runs out by mid-afternoon. Number 10. The under-advertised fourth meal. Some lines quietly run an afternoon tea or a mid-afternoon snack service, and it never gets anywhere near the marketing push that dinner gets splashed across the daily planner every morning. Fresh pastries, finger sandwiches, sometimes a full spread with proper china, and a string quartet if you're on the right ship. Completely free, tucked into a lounge most passengers never think to check because nobody told them to look for it in the first place. On some ships, it's the same lounge used for trivia in the morning, which is exactly why passengers never connect that space with food later in the day. I used to watch people complain at guest services about paying $6 for a specialty dessert an hour after this free spread had already closed for the day, genuinely unaware it had ever been running at all. The fix is one sentence to any crew member you pass in a hallway. Where does staff go for a quick snack between lunch and dinner? That question alone exposes an entire meal most passengers never knew existed on the same ship they've sailed a dozen times before. Now we're getting into hacks that actually change how the whole week feels, not just what you eat once. Number 9. Relationship capital with your waiter. This isn't about demanding special treatment or expecting favors nobody else at your table gets. It's about learning your waiter's name on night one, tipping a little in cash early in the sailing, and treating your table like a neighborhood restaurant instead of an anonymous seat inside a massive, impersonal dining room serving thousands of guests every night. Staff aren't officially allowed to play favorites, but they're human beings working a genuinely long week, same as anyone else clocking in every day for months at a time. The tables that are easy, polite, and familiar consistently get hotter bread, faster refills, and quiet recommendations for which night to order which dish before it's even printed on the menu for everyone else. I watched this play out identically, sailing after sailing, same menu, same kitchen, completely different experience depending entirely on how the table behaved toward the person serving it every single night of the week. Here's where onboard credit stops being random spending and starts being an actual strategy. Number 8. Turning credit into free high-end meals. Most passengers burn their onboard credit on souvenirs, drink packages, or impulse buys at the shops halfway through the cruise, and treat specialty dining as a completely separate expense they pay for out-of-pocket later, almost like it's a different budget entirely from the credit sitting on their card. Insiders flip that thinking completely on its head. Front-load your credit into a specialty dining package first before you've spent a cent anywhere else, and only spend whatever's left over on shopping afterward if there's anything remaining at all by the last day. Because that credit converts directly into multi-course meals, sometimes with wine included depending on the package you choose. What feels like a splurge at checkout actually costs you nothing beyond money you already had allocated to the trip from the start. It's the exact same dollars, either way you look at it. One version gets you a steakhouse dinner with your name already on the reservation. The other gets you a magnet for your fridge back home that you'll forget about by next month. This next one only works if you know exactly when to ask, and most people never figure that out. Number 7. Late salvage on chef's table and specialty dining. The chef's table and the best specialty restaurants often sell out completely before the ship has even left port, sometimes within days of booking opening online months in advance. Most passengers assume that's the end of the story and quietly give up on the idea entirely, never asking again for the rest of the cruise. It isn't the end of the story. Cancellations and no-shows happen on every single sailing, without exception, and the manager running that restaurant needs to fill those seats fast before service starts that night, sometimes with less than an hour of notice. If you've already told the maitre d' early in the week that you're flexible and genuinely interested if anything opens up, you become the first phone call when a table frees up unexpectedly at the last minute. Pre-book the big-name experiences online months ahead like everyone tells you to. Then plant that one extra sentence with the maitre d' on day one, in person, not through the app, because a face they recognize gets remembered over a name in a queue. That combination is how insiders end up at premium tables without ever paying premium prices for the privilege of sitting there. Now we're into the hacks that quietly turn a restriction into an actual upgrade instead of a limitation. Number 6. The allergy and dietary system. When you declare an allergy or a dietary restriction on night 1, the galley often builds an entirely separate prep track just for you, with more oversight, fresher ingredients, and far less cross-contamination risk than the standard buffet line running at full volume for thousands of people every service. This system exists purely for safety reasons, nothing more. Savvy passengers quietly use it as access to noticeably better food without ever mentioning that's actually the goal behind the question they're asking. Ask your waiter directly. Could I see the chef-recommended options that fit my allergy list tonight? Passengers who ask that specific question consistently get tailored plates and off-menu desserts that other guests, sitting at the exact same table, never even know exist on the ship at all, because nobody ever bothered to ask. Here's the one hiding behind the printed menu every single night of the cruise, whether you notice it or not. Number 5. The invisible standing menu. Most passengers have no idea that the kitchen can produce simple grill items every single night. Plain steak, chicken breast, plain pasta, even when absolutely none of it appears anywhere on the printed menu sitting in front of them at the table. It exists mainly to handle picky eaters and dietary needs quietly behind the scenes without ever advertising it. But you're allowed to use it too, and almost nobody realizes that this option is even on the table. If nothing on tonight's printed menu genuinely appeals to you for whatever reason, just ask your waiter, do you have a standard steak or chicken you can serve plain tonight? Then pair that plain protein with sides or sauces pulled from completely different dishes on the same menu, building something that technically matches nothing printed anywhere on the page. You've just built a custom meal that doesn't exist on paper, made entirely to your own specifications, at zero extra cost beyond what you already paid for the cruise. This next one is a rule almost nobody actually uses, even though it's stated outright by the cruise lines themselves in writing. Number 4. Unlimited courses without any upcharges. In the main dining room, you're allowed to order multiple appetizers, multiple entrees, and multiple desserts at absolutely no extra charge every single night on most major lines sailing today. This is explicitly permitted policy, not a loophole you're exploiting, and servers will bring you 2 or 3 main courses without hesitation or an eyebrow raised because they've done it 1,000 times before for other guests just like you. Most passengers still behave like they're sitting in a land restaurant with strict portion limits and a bill that punishes extra plates, when the reality is closer to a tasting menu you're fully allowed to design yourself, course by course, night after night for the entire sailing. Order the seafood main and the vegetarian main in the same sitting, split them at the table with whoever you're sailing with, and start treating the entire menu as something to explore rather than something to narrowly choose from once and commit to for the whole evening ahead of you. Timing changes everything on this next one, and almost nobody stops to actually think about it. Number 3. The timing windows nobody talks about. The exact same buffet station can feel like mass catering at the exact moment it opens, rushed and picked over by the first wave of passengers, and feel like a genuinely good restaurant 45 minutes later, purely because the initial crowd thins out and the kitchen finally settles into its actual rhythm for the day. Same food, same station, same staff, completely different experience, and it costs you nothing extra to simply wait a little longer before walking in with your tray. The same logic applies directly to specialty restaurants later in the evening as well. Roughly 45 to 60 minutes before the very last seating of the night, the manager running that restaurant already knows exactly which tables are going to sit empty for the rest of service that evening, and an empty table earns the ship nothing at all. That's precisely when they get noticeably flexible on discounts and comps, because filling that seat at a lower price beats leaving it empty entirely. Show up right before that window closes for the night, and you're negotiating from a position of real strength instead of guessing at your odds like everyone else in line. Now here's the hack that turns your entire first day on board completely around before the cruise has even really started. Number 2, the hidden embarkation lunch. Almost every first-time cruiser heads straight for the buffet on embarkation day out of pure habit. And that is exactly the moment it's at its most chaotic and lowest quality all week, with lines out the door and trays running low constantly under the pressure of thousands of people boarding at once. What most people never realize is that the main dining room often quietly opens for a complimentary sit-down lunch on that exact same day, with better plating, calmer service, and almost nobody walking through the door to use it at all because nobody thinks to check. Check the app or the daily program carefully before you join the buffet crowd purely out of habit and momentum from years of assuming that's the only option. If the dining room shows as open, walk straight past the buffet line entirely and go there instead without a second thought about it. You get a quasi-specialty restaurant experience before the ship has even physically left the dock, for exactly $0 more than you already paid for the cruise itself months ago. And this brings us to the one I'd tell every single passenger if I could only pick one thing off this entire list. Number 1. The 24/7 stations everyone walks straight past without a second glance. Every ship has round-the-clock or late-night free food points scattered across it, pizza counters, promenade cafes, pool deck grills running well past midnight for anyone still awake and hungry. These are the exact spots crew members quietly grab their own meals from, instead of paying specialty prices themselves during a long shift on their feet for 12 hours at a time. These stations are consistently under-advertised compared to the coffee bars and gelato stands. The ship actually wants you spending real money at throughout the week, because those stations generate revenue and the free ones don't need to be sold to you. Map every complimentary venue on the ship on day 1 using the app, then use that map strategically for the rest of the sailing, especially during the dead hours when the main buffet is closed, but the grill or the late-night cafe is still quietly running for anyone who bothers to check before giving up and paying for room service instead out of frustration. Out of everything on this entire list, this is the one habit that pays you back every single day of the cruise, without you ever having to think about it twice for the rest of the trip. You don't need all 12. Pick 3, ask on day 1. Like and subscribe for more.